Let's get the GOP response from Louisiana Senator Bill Cassidy. So, Senator Cassidy, you heard Senator Manchin lay out his arguments for this new bill on climate and spending. What's your response?
Yeah, much of what he says is just not true. For example, they are raising taxes. According to the Joint Committee of Taxation, taxes will be raised almost $17 billion in the first year on those who are making less than $200,000. And the percent of taxes raised for individuals increases over time for the middle class and the lower income. They're raising taxes on people who make less than $10,000, according to the Joint Committee on Taxation. And in terms of lowering the price of fuel, they're going to raise excise tax on the every barrel of oil by $17, roughly. That is going to increase the price at the pump, increase other fuel-related costs. So much of what they're saying about this bill is not true, and those are two examples.
You and other Republicans have frequently pointed to Larry Summers and what he said about the original version of Build Back Better, saying that it would increase inflation. This bill, though, is significantly less expensive. It is more targeted. And Larry Summers now has an entirely different view, at least on this bill. Take a listen to what he had to say.
I believe that this is disinflationary policy that's also going to make the economy more efficient, that's also going to preserve the environment, and also is going to make us have a fairer society.
So here's the guy that you and other Republicans pointed to over and over and over again in explaining opposition to Biden's original plan. Now this pared down plan, he says, is going to be disinflationary and lead to a fairer American society. What do you say now to Larry Summers?
Yeah, it may be disinflationary by causing a recession. They're interjecting an incredible amount of uncertainty into the economy just as we entered a recession, number one. Number two, 50% of the taxes on business are on manufacturers. I just spoke to a Louisiana manufacturer last week, and he's just like having to increase wages to attract workers. And now we're going to increase his taxes as much as we're going to. Manufacturers can choose to set up in the United States or choose to move to Asia. I think what we're doing is inducing them to move to Asia. You can have a disinflationary program by causing a recession. I think this is going to lead to a worse recession.
Okay, so I'm hearing you're definitely not going to be on board here. This will be all Democrats if it passes. But let me ask you about the CHIPS bill, which passed right before Manchin announced this deal, Manchin and Schumer. You were one of 17 Republicans that supported that bill to support domestic production of semiconductors. Here's what your Louisiana colleague, John Kennedy, had to say after that happened. He said, "We got our ass kicked. It's just that simple. Look to me like we got rinky-dooed." That's a Louisiana word for screwed. So is he right? Did you guys get hoodwinked by Joe Manchin and Chuck Schumer?
First, John also said that he thought we should spend the money on national defense. We are spending the money on national defense. Right now, the U.S. share of computer chip production has decreased from 40% to 15%. And if China attacked Taiwan, we currently get about the world's share of Taiwan plus China is 55%. If we wish to have a secure industrial base to provide the chips for our fighter jets, for our cars, you name it, we've got to have a domestic chip manufacturing. This is all about national security. I'm a China hawk. If you're comfortable with China, you don't mind, this bill, maybe you don't vote for. If you're a China hawk like I am, if you're about national security, by golly, you support this bill. And by the way, you mentioned whether or not Schumer somehow pulled a fast one on Republicans. Schumer pulled a fast one on the American people. When they say it's not going to raise taxes, but 50% of the taxes raised are on those making less than $200,000 a year, he pulled a fast one on the American people.
All right, and quickly, before you go, I've got to ask you about this bill to help veterans who were had toxic exposure fighting wars on behalf of our country. You voted for this burn pit bill just a month ago, and now you voted against it this week. Can you explain why? Why did you change on this?
Yeah, so the bill will pass. I strongly support it. We have to stand by our veterans who've been exposed to these chemicals. There was a drafting error, a $400 billion drafting error that Democrats promised Republicans would get a vote on an amendment to fix. They denied us that vote. So what we're asking is give us the vote on the amendment. Let us try and go after a $400 billion drafting error. By the way, more than Manchin claims that this bill will reduce the deficit by, so that we can fix that and then move on to helping our veterans.
But to be clear, you did vote for it in its current form.
Yes, and I'll vote for its final passage too.
Okay, all right, Senator Cassidy,
I'll vote for its final passage.
We appreciate your time.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.